I live in a world where appearances often serve as masks to hide deep secrets. I am Victor Hale, known for my imposing presence in a past shrouded in mystery. Recently, I embarked on a transcontinental flight, driven by a purpose that remains unknown and secret even to me. But what was supposed to be a peaceful journey quickly turned into a nightmare. There was an explosion in the plane's engine, and the impact was devastating. The plane crashed into a dense forest, and I was gravely injured, with the sounds of screams and the smell of burning fuel etched into my mind. I was unconscious for 3 weeks in a hospital. When I finally woke up, my body was covered in scars, and the pain was a constant reminder of the horror I had lived through. I discovered that the explosion was an act of sabotage targeting a specific passenger, and I was that passenger. I decided to investigate on my own to find out who was responsible for the attack. I couldn't just stand by while mysteries and dangers continued to surround me. I used my skills and contacts to gather information, moving in the shadows with a determination to uncover the truth. The first clue led me to an old friend, a former secret agent, who revealed that my true identity had been compromised. Someone knew about my dark past and was willing to do anything to eliminate me. He gave me a name, Dr. Elias Gruber, a mad scientist obsessed with human experiments. While investigating Gruber, I discovered that he operated in a clandestine laboratory deep in an isolated forest. The stories about his atrocities were chilling. Rumors of experiments on children, surgeries without anesthesia, and deformed creatures wandering the dark corridors of his lab. Each discovery was more disturbing than the last, and I began to realize that my quest for answers was leading me to a place of indescribable terror. When I finally located Gruber's lab, the atmosphere was suffocating. The abandoned building was overgrown with vegetation, and the silence was broken only by the sound of dripping water and the distant screams of forgotten victims. Inside, the walls were stained with dried blood and the air reeked of death. Every room I investigated revealed horrors beyond imagination, body parts in jars, creatures imprisoned in cages, and documents detailing grotesque experiments. My journey led me to face monsters that defied sanity, beings created by a man who had lost all humanity. In a dark and damp room, I found a diary detailing the tortures Gruber had inflicted on his victims, including accounts of experiments done on me while I was unconscious. He was trying to create a superhuman, someone who could survive anything, and I was his most promising experiment. What shocked me the most was discovering that the saboteur was a dangerous man with skills as sharp as mine. The quest for answers became a journey filled with increasing dangers, where each step seemed to lead me into a new trap, and the constant threat of danger cast a shadow over my search for the truth. I knew I needed to prepare meticulously for the confrontation with the saboteur. I spent hours analyzing his weaknesses and strengths, developing a strategy that would give me the necessary advantage. I used all my skills and tactics to ensure I was one step ahead, ready for any eventuality. Finally, the moment came. The confrontation was brutal and decisive. I faced the saboteur in an intense battle where every move counted. In the end, I managed to defeat him, and his life ended by my hand. After the fight, I couldn't help but reflect on the battle and the impact the attack had on my life. The saboteur's death didn't solve all the problems. I realized there were still more secrets to uncover and issues to resolve. The fight might have ended, but the quest for the truth was far from over. After the confrontation, I realized I was still in danger. I knew enemies could be lurking, ready to attack me at any moment. I needed to flee and hide to ensure my survival, moving stealthily to avoid new threats. While hiding, I began to confront the secrets of my past and understand what really led to the attack. I faced a crucial choice: continue my search for answers or seek a new life, far from the conflicts and dangers surrounding me. During my investigations, I discovered that Gruber's plan was even broader than I had imagined. He was working with a network of powerful individuals, all interested in creating a new world order where only the strongest would survive. This secret organization, known as the Hive, had tentacles in every sphere of power, from politics to the corporate sector. Each new discovery brought more horrors to light. I found similar laboratories in various parts of the world, all conducting macabre experiments. Children were kidnapped and turned into soldiers without will. Adults were subjected to grotesque genetic mutations, and those who resisted were discarded like trash. The depth of human cruelty never ceased to surprise and disgust me. Months after the initial confrontation, I decided I couldn't simply let Gruber and his accomplices go unpunished. I began tracking their operations, taking down their bases one by one. Each victory revealed more about his gruesome plan and his network of accomplices. My final confrontation with Gruber took place in a lab even more sinister than the first. He had taken refuge in an underground complex, protected by traps and loyal guards. The final battle was a combination of intelligence and brutality, where every mistake could be fatal. When I finally confronted him, his insanity was evident. He talked about a new world, where his creations would dominate, and humanity would be just a distant memory. With one last act of determination, I ended Gruber's life, destroying his legacy of terror. But even with his death, the shadow of his work remained. I knew there were still many secrets buried, many horrors yet to be discovered. My life was now dedicated to cleaning the world of the monsters Gruber had created and protecting the innocent from invisible threats. Thus, my journey of terror and revenge continued, each day bringing new challenges and new horrors to face. The fight for truth and justice never ended, but I was determined not to let fear win. I was Victor Hale, and my purpose was now clear, to destroy evil, no matter the cost. The days passed, and each new mission took me to darker places and more brutal confrontations. But amidst all the chaos, I began to find allies, people who had also suffered at the hands of the Hive and were willing to fight alongside me. Together, we formed a resistance, a group dedicated to ending the Hive's plans for world domination. My life was now a constant battle, but for the first time in a long while, I felt I was making a difference. Each victory, no matter how small, was a step towards a safer world. And as long as there was a threat lurking, I would be there to face it, with the courage and determination that had always defined me. The road ahead was long and filled with dangers, but I was prepared. Gruber's legacy of terror and the Hive would be destroyed, and I would not rest until the world was free from their malevolent influence. Because I was Victor Hale, and this was my mission.